to the NBA podcast. My name's Sean. Joining us today is the one and only Marco Holden-Jeffrey, Mr. H. Taylorman. How are you?
I'm good, Sean. How are you?
Yeah, good. Sitting here in your lovely new room.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
Oh, fucking beautiful. It's perfect, mate.
Yeah, I've heard you've been peering through the windows on the odd occasion previously.
Guilty as charged, mate. I drive past your house to go to my house, and I'm always looking for your cat in the window. Yeah, no further comments, yeah.
Okay.
You're in a switch house, which is good. I'm interested to see how that develops for yourself.
2 switches, played a bit of Mario Kart, which, you know, everyone knows how to play Mario Kart, mate. But, you know, I'm interested to explore the whole library, maybe give Pokemon Arceus a bit of a whirl. No further comment, I suppose.
The stiff intro. But yeah, should we just get into it?
Well, Sean,
we got the
mate,
first.
It's a special occasion,
and then we got Lucas's article. You start off.
Don't bury the lead there. Sean, it's your 5th birthday this week, isn't it? 5 years of the Deep 2 in some form or another. How you feel?
Yeah, feel good. 1 year I made cookies and then decorated them with blue and orange icing, and then it just melted somehow. So I'm not at that level.
Well, my housemate Zach actually made cookies. Don't know what the occasion was, but
yeah, Anzac cookies it's Friday, so I'm not sure. Yeah, but true. It feels good. 5 years is a long time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And the best bit is when you look at the shirt that says established 2019, it just looks even older.
Yeah, getting the pre-2020 establishment date means so much. It's like being priced $99.99.
Well, it's like being born in the 90s, so that when we're 100 and our great grandkids are like, fuck, you know, when were you born? And you're going to go, I was born in 9. Whoa.
What? 100 years ago, you mean?
Yeah. I'm so happy. I've been thinking about that since I was very little.
Yeah. I still can't believe people are born in the 2000s.
Yeah, well, didn't we find out someone was born in 2010?
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like it could be doxing, but it was a football player's son who we probably shouldn't have known the birth information of.
Nah, there's heaps of people born then. We often dox like, I drove past your house to go home, but that was the most illegal thing I've done in a while.
100%. And this is the second time since then that the conversation of how weird is it that people are born in the 2000s has come up. I've been like, fuck. My anecdote for this is like kind of not okay.
That's so funny.
That's all you're getting, listeners.
That's really funny. Yeah, happy birthday to us. Happy birthday.
Here's to another 5.
Hey. And to celebrate / not to celebrate, but it's going to come out. But if you're listening to this podcast, and I can mention it because I just put in the order an hour or less, maybe an hour ago on the dot.
Awesome.
Put in the order for the hoodies. So no further comment. Again, but they're going to be priced at $69. We wanted to price them at $60, but we thought for the people, we'll knock off $1 and we'll cop that on our chest for your smirk.
It's like being established in 2019, you know? It just looks better on paper.
Yeah. And then we'll make t-shirts next year and they'll be $420 just to cover all the funny numbers. So we've got hoodies coming out. So it's I'm very excited for the hoodies.
Yeah, they look really good. Yeah.
They are underway, and I hope they come to my new address because the invoice was addressed to my old address.
Jeez.
Just annoying. My mate still lives there, so it's not the end of the world.
And do you want to tell the listeners who designed them?
Annalise, a friend of the program, artist of the program.
Nice.
Annalise, you can check her out at ajv.project, and if you like the merch, then support an artiste by buying one.
Wait, ajv.project. I can't believe it's that simple.
was that the lob you threw yourself?
What?
Did you say other housekeeping. Lucas published an article on the WNBL summing up the season that was, and quite a very successful season, but there are questions around the ownership of the NBL moving forward. there are a few people that are interested in purchasing it, but for the meantime, it is a slight asterisk on a successful season, but Lucas sums it up very well over at another easy to remember thing, deep2.com.
Very nice. And on the tail end of a really good interview we did with Chrissy Collier-Hill, the head of the WNBL as well. So if you haven't listened to that on the W Basketball Show, you should check it out. Obviously interviewing players, interviewing Kayla George after she won a WNBA championship is like really cool, but getting to talk to like the head of a league about like the future of the league and, getting not like breaking news, but like kind of tidbits that you wouldn't get anywhere else. That's really, really cool stuff.
Yeah, super cool. And original quotes, like Lucas was, I edited the article that Lucas sent in, and he said, he's like, oh, XYZ, write this. And I'm like, but she said that. Let's just quote her because you interviewed her.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's pretty fucking cool.
Not per anyone, per you.
I mean, we did include the per to link to because it's nice to backlink. But this is Deep NBA Podcast. We're going to talk about basketball. We're going to talk about the NBA. Playoff basketball's on. You, like myself, work in an office with multiple monitors. Great time to be a basketball fan. Did you watch much basketball today?
I didn't get to watch any games today on account of being out and about in the
True,
van.
you can't drive and text and drive and watch.
Exactly right. But I had Wednesday, Thursday off. Thursday like most of the nation, and Wednesday just for how my schedule befits me. And I did manage to watch. I think pretty much, I watched every single game in that span. Completely guilt-free because it's the playoffs and it's like, you're not like, oh, I should probably do something today. It's like, nah, man, there's only like 120 more of these.
Yeah. It's like, the Nets are playing Indiana in Indiana. The Nets are playing their fourth game in 5 nights. Let's see how that goes. Like, everyone's rested. Yeah. Everyone should be good. And
the Memphis Grizzlies are playing their 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th men on the floor tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this isn't a podcast where we read the roster and then move on. But let's start off with the Philly Knicks series, which is a very strange series, I think. I was really excited for it, and I'm sure you were too. Just because you can see both teams coming out of it. And Joel Embiid said that after losing the first 2 games that they should be up 2-0 because of, Daryl Morey complained to the league about officiating and et cetera, but they believe they should be up. And I think there's a real world in which 1 or 2 things bounce the different way, and they honestly are up 2-0. Heading into Philly, it was a must-win game for Philly. You don't want to get into an 0-3 hole because no one's come back from that. And I was writing the notes for this pod after the first 2 games, and it's just been like a little bit like Philly just don't have good individual rebounders, and Joel Embiid with 1.5 meniscuses just isn't a good rebounder. He can't make that second jump, and he's physically giving up on plays. And when he misses a shot, it's never long; it's always short. He's very much like getting bullied and then short arming shot. I wrote those 2 dot points before the game started, and then he had 50 points today and a win. And now it's like, do they have the momentum again? Where do you want to go from there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that on paper and then sort of evidence throughout the first two games, like the Knicks are a really good matchup for this Sixers team. Like, not to the point where like, Philly are going to be ruining, falling into the play-in because like they have Joel Embiid. They have the most improved player in Tyrese Maxey as well, which is
nothing to scoff at. But like you're saying, they don't have good rebounding.
Joel Embiid isn't, at full physical fitness. The Knicks, in contrast, have like 48 minutes of like 10 and 10 centers and Josh Hart, one of the best guard rebounders in the game, like plenty of size, plenty of physicality, OG Anunoby as well, to wear the Sixers down. And I think also, again, like Embiid is one of those 3, 5, 7 players in the league where it's like, all right, well, you're not going to stop him or maybe even limit him, but like, can you put a body on him for 48 minutes? Knicks have like 2, 3, maybe even 4 bodies that they can throw at him for 48 minutes. And it looked like that in the first 2 games. Like he still played really well in both games, but like they were tiring him out. They weren't letting him get easy buckets. The thing is that, Joel Embiid is talented, athletic enough to make the tough shots when he's being defended really, really, really well. So like, I guess the first takeaway from there is like, I think this is exactly where this series should be, you know, like even with that crazy finishing game too, like the Knicks, oh God. just caught Donnie licking on some Anzac biscuits.
He just wanted dibs on it.
But yeah, like even with whatever Embiid wants to say about officiating, or whatever, like crazy ending to that game too. Like, the Knicks were going to win those first 2 games in MSG, given that the Sixers are a good matchup for them.
Yeah. And I going back to like the guys, the 10-10 guys that they've just got to guard Joel Embiid, I've been really impressed with Mitchell Robinson because I just thought he was a bad help defender, and that was just who he was. But he catches lobs, and then as he slowly deteriorates physically, was like, what are we sort of doing here? But he's been really strong and he's been really impressive, and now he's questionable for next game because he left today with a rolled ankle, but it was like a bad.
After Embiid yanked him down.
Yeah. Someone on Twitter was like, if Draymond Green did this, Adam Silver's rolling the guillotine out at halftime.
I mean, and they go pretty easy on Draymond as well. Like, I don't know what they would do if it was, Jonte Porter, let's say.
Yeah, or like Miles Bridges. Nothing happened there.
Yeah, no comment
there. I've just been really impressed with just the bodies that they're throwing there, and they're sending a double every single time, and that was like from the get-go. Send a double, which is like something that Joel Embiid has seen forever, and as we've seen forever, the double comes. I'm not saying that we've got better vision than him, but we have a broadcast view. That person's open because you've got 2 people on you, and he sometimes hits the pass, but we just know that that's just not who he is. But you're getting these sort of weird. You're getting these really interesting developments from it where Joel Embiid's got the double, he makes the easy pass out to the guy on the wing, swing, and all of a sudden Tyrese Maxey's catching the ball pretty much on a sprint, because Tyrese Maxey's really good at doing that, and he catches the ball on the sprint. And in the first game, it was OG Anunoby that was guarding him, a great perimeter defender, but he was actually just too slow for Tyrese Maxey. He was too slow to keep up. Obviously, Jalen Brunson is a small guard, and he's someone who you can target as well. And if Tyrese Maxey isn't going against Josh Hart or Dante DiVincenzo, which are good matchups for him, it's probably what's called advantage Philly.
Yeah.
And then he's catching the ball downhill, and it's a really roundabout way to get Tyrese Maxey going. I'm thinking, as opposed to just like saying, okay, let's put Tyrese Maxey into a ball screen. You're like, no, let's actually kind of focus on getting Joel the ball, and then 4 passes away, we're actually going to have a great advantage.
Yeah.
So like a taxi driver, like instead of just going right straight down through the street, they're like, we're actually going to take 5 sideways, but we're going to get there faster. Somehow faster.
Yeah. And you wonder if that's by design or just by the fact that like you have to give Embiid touches on every possession, you know. Like,
you lean design because Nick Nurse.
Yeah, Nick Nurse is a really good coach. And also, like, I guess the counter to that is today, you know, Embiid's getting the ball in the post, and then he's just getting buckets, you know, and then like Maxey had only 25, but like he didn't need to have over 30 like he did in the first 2 games, because like the shots were dropping a lot easier for Embiid. Probably. You were watching today. Do you think it swung when Mitch Robb went out as well, or like?
No, Joel Embiid's still eating.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it swung, but like it could have played a factor into fatigue for Isaiah Hartenstein, and
for sure.
Yeah, something like that. Just to finish up this series, the Jalen Brunson's been playing quite bad, which is something that people were a little bit worried about. Bad by his standards, not bad by human basketball player. But the Knicks in the playoffs the Knicks are leading the playoffs in offensive rating, and that's without Julius Randle and with Jalen Brunson playing poorly, which is just a nice little interesting comment to make.
No, it's kind of unbelievable. Like Dante DiVincenzo had this great like offensive development this season, and I think he's had like bad game, good game, bad game so far in this series. But like, you know, the good game came when you needed a good game from him. But like, I don't know how they're getting points out of these other guys. Like I thought Bojan Bogdanovic had been pretty crap since the trade. He's been perfectly fine. Miles McBride had a really good game one, and also I think he was like the best defensive option on Tyrese Maxey. And then like Josh Hart just kind of does whatever you know, Tom Thibodeau needs him to do on any given night. If it's like rebound, if it's defend, if it's like, you know, just kind of sprint in transition and get easy layups. But yeah, like I think that is such a good sign that like when the playoffs come, you can get points from places you haven't been able to get them.
Just before we move on, you've made me remember something that, you know how the Athletic are now releasing all their surveys where it's like who's the most overrated, who's the best defender and stuff. In the most overrated survey, it was Rudy Gobert won, like inverted commas won, and then I don't know, I can't even remember who was second. The newsworthy thing that was that everyone thinks Rudy Gobert's overrated. You go all the way down to like 10th, where it's like, okay, one person has voted for this person. One of the votes was for Evan Fournier.
What?
So who's the most overrated player in the league? And someone said Evan Fournier, and I'm like, that's because if you and I were in the NBA and they're asking us that, I'm typing in something stupid like that. I remember, it was like the 2013. All-Star game where it was one of the years around there, it was like Tony Allen's prime, where they said All-Star reserves are going to be voted on by coaches and players. It was the first year where usually it's just the coaches or assistant coaches, and they split it with players. And then Tony Allen was like talking the next day. He's like, "Oh, I voted for Zach Collins. Like, I just think his game's really good." And at the time, he was like a rookie or something. And then that was like the 1 year that they gave players votes and then stopped. So I just shout out to whoever voted for Evan Fournier.
Oh, and like, you know, there are interesting votes in the awards from the media, like whether they're intentionally funny or not. Like whatever Knicks player ends up third on some guy's ballot every single year. Or I mean, we were talking about what the most improved down the line. And it was pretty weird.
I mean, Jose Alvarado got 3 Six Man of the Year votes.
He did. Which is interesting.
It's now one basketball reference. It is immortalized. The next series, New Orleans Pelicans versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, you can start this off.
Well, let's start with game one, because you know it would be unfair not to. After game one, like game one was 100%. Both teams just absolutely nervous, particularly OKC, who just like had no playoff experience, didn't really have like a veteran there, you know, to steady the ship. What, like, is Gordon Hayward the...
He's been playing.
But you know, like what, Shea and Lou Dort have been there briefly once before, many years ago, and apart from that, it's like the 15 minutes of Gordon Hayward. The Pels not much more experience, but at least you've had, you know, Valanciunas, who's been there plenty of times with different teams, CJ McCollum, who has, you know, like, you'd have heaps of playoff experiences, whether they're impactful or not, and you know, or whether they've gone deep or not. Brandon Ingram, who's like, you know, been a really good one option in a, you know, in old first round series.
Maybe we'll finish the conversation with CJ.
Okay, fair enough. But yeah, like if we were going to take a game from them at home, it was going to be that game, because, you know, I went in going into game two and it's like, all right, you know, I know how there's a way we can beat this team. Like, we hit our threes. JV keeps mashing Chet in the post. Make sure that Josh Giddey has a bad game. Let him shoot everything. And then, within like 5 minutes of the first quarter of game 2, it was like, all right, this series is pretty much over. They're just such a more complete team than us. Their game plan is so much more like evolved and steady. I mean, we are having to adjust from a Zion Williamson-centric offense to a Brandon Ingram-centric
Not the first time you've had to.
Not the first time we've had to, but yeah. I think it was pretty well exemplified by, in the first quarter, like Valanciunas had the first 11 points of the game for us. He was like just dropping his shoulder into Chet, and it's like, all right, well, he's going to win this matchup.
Yeah.
Chet had like 17 by then, the first quarter, just started like hitting threes, taking him to the rim.
He was second all-time in rookies points per half in the playoffs.
Really? There you go.
Up there with, tied with Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, and a bunch of other randoms.
Pretty good names, pretty good company. So I honestly don't really see an avenue for us to win a game in this series anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to be really positive.
Yeah.
But we both watched game 2, and it's fair. Game 1, is the aberration, and game 2 was very much a lot more like, hey, let's focus on JV. But like JV's never been the fulcrum of a fucking great offense. No. It's just, I agree. I think this could be a sweep, which is like, we've all been saying to everyone, like, if you're like the Warriors, the Lakers, or the Pels, like, you want fucking OKC Thunder, like you want this young team that just doesn't know. And like if another team like the Warriors or the Lakers went in there and just clocked the nervous team in the face, and all of a sudden they're down 1-0. And I said maybe it's a tough game too. It's like, well, this is a series.
Yeah, and even if we'd gone in there with Zion, like I think that would probably have been enough for us. I mean, like that game was a shot away from us winning it. Like it wasn't like, oh, the flow was with them for the whole game, and then like we came back at the end. It was like, no, like it could have gone either way.
Yeah, and you had a lovely little surge at the end. Yeah. So you don't reckon you win one at home? The SKC.
I mean, the blender, it does get up. I think we do come away with one, and I think maybe purely because like the Thunder can just afford to lose one. In this situation.
But like you put it on the run sheet here, they're going deep. Like,
Aaron Wiggins
is getting minutes. Like, they're going very, very deep into their
rotation, and everyone's looking good as well. Like everyone is doing their role. Man, they went really deep in game 2.
Well, I mean, they were up by quite a bit.
Like we just don't, like we have good depth, but like nothing's going right for our depth like it's going right for them. The other thing is like Shea is just such a performer. Like I was
watching game 2, I think in the second quarter, like he just hit one of those step back threes on Herb, like on a really, really good contest from Herb. And it was like, well, we just don't have anyone who can do the equivalent of that right now. Brandon Ingram's had stretches in his career where like, all right, he's going to get to the mid-range and it's going to go in every single time. But like, he's not at that level at the moment. And like Shea's step back 3 is better anyway. If that's dropping for him, like I don't really know what you're meant to do.
And I was thinking about it today in preparation for this pod. I'm writing the run sheet. I'm like just thinking about everything we've just talked about, and there's obviously been a big discussion with your favourite basketball team for a while where it's like, can Zion and Brandon Ingram play together? And then you obviously haven't made a move, and it's been like, well, look, one of them's always injured, so the problem solves itself. But like, it's been a while. It's been quite a few years now, and we still don't have a good sample size. But you're still not winning with one of them. But then I don't know what the answer is. It just seems a bit like a waste. But the answer is, you haven't seen them together. So I don't. Yeah.
I'm almost ready. You know, I might just be saying this because it's Friday, but I'm almost ready to put my hat in the ring and say we should trade Brandon Ingram. Like,
There's been a lot of negative press about Brandon.
Yeah.
A lot of podcasts have been like, "Did you see him moping when because he was sitting in the play-in game?"
Yeah.
There's been a lot of negative Brandon Ingram juju, and that's also why I'm thinking about breaking them up, because it's we've never like heard that stuff, and usually you hear that stuff, and then it's like there's so much money in the NBA. There's so many powerful people. The rumors must be controlled. Like I don't believe for a second that this just happens to be a rumor, because Brandon Ingram looks pissed off all the time. Brandon Ingram mopes all the time. He's just who he is. It's like, damn, I missed that mid-range shot that I can make, and whether that's good for chemistry or bad for chemistry, this must be coming from somewhere, I believe.
yeah, and look, I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater in regards to Brandon Ingram, because like he's good. Like he can be an all-star when he's at his best, and he does have a good mentality. Like he was such a leader, you know, in that first CJ season. Like I think a lot of the chemistry is, you know, grown off of him. But like we actually are a good team with just Zion. Like we're a playoff team with just Zion, and if we can get something comparable. I mean, look, Brandon Ingram's value might be low. We're not gonna do a straight swap for OG Anunoby. Let's say that, right? Which would have been like the ideal situation. Let's be honest.
But like an OG type, like an off-ball guy. Or...
Yeah, exactly. And maybe it's a tiny little step down from him, and I don't know, we get some draft compensation.
Or what if it's a sign and trade for Paul George?
That's hard.
Because he's like 30,
he's old and he loves getting injured as well.
Yeah, but if you get him after a few pints and he's had a big win at the races, like he's all right.
And then the problem is that Zion, despite having a relatively healthy season this year until it actually mattered, which is shattering, and like he's pretty much been ruled out for the series now. Yeah. Then you don't have that insurance, right? Then when he goes down, it is the CJ McCollum, Trey Murphy, Jonas Valanciunas show, which is like, it's not good. Like it's not keeping you in the play-in, especially with like the state of the West. So like, you know, you needed. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard. Really hard. But you're right. Like we don't have enough sample size. But how much longer can we keep waiting for sample size? Like,
and like maybe Larry Markin is the name, and you overpay for Larry Markin.
Yeah. But then again, it's like what, what lineup are we rolling out with Larry Markkinen, you know?
Like what's his best position to guard? Is it the 4?
Yeah, it probably is. Yeah. And like I think if we trade Ingram, it either has to be for like a really good wing,
like a definite 3.
A definite 3, or a really good center. Or a really good point guard, actually. Like
you know,
like
fuck, doesn't that suck?
Yeah. So, you know, like I think the established wisdom amongst Pelicans fans now is like Trey Murphy and Herb Jones should both be starting. Like, but like the only way that can happen is if they're playing at the 2 and the 2 and the 3 essentially. Because
and if you trade for Andrew Wiggins, he's going to get in the way as well.
Mate, in more ways than one.
Well, let's move on to the Denver and LA game. Denver took a 3-0 series lead today. After LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers went up again by 10 plus points to the Denver Nuggets, but then failed to actually hold on to that lead again. It's the first half, LA again looked great, as they have for the past 2 first halves. But then the fucking Nuggets just put like... We all know how good the Nuggets are, and they're pretty much a 1 versus 8 seed right now, right? So obviously they're going to win. But there were some really cool moments in the third quarter where Jokic was just like... There was this play where the play just dissipated, and then Jokic was like, fuck, I have to post up. Post. Fake turn. He gets an N1 over LeBron, right? And then I'm thinking like, oh, show some emotion, man. Like, you're in LA, you've just silenced the crowd. And then he like points at KCP and AJ, and he says, come, he's yelling, he's gesturing, come over here. And they come out and he's like yelling at him, and he's like, when he goes around, you can't, like, he's fully screaming at him. And it's like, oh, you've just taken the lead to push it to double digits and you're entering the fourth quarter, you're a better team. And he's just screaming at these dudes like, he can't let Austin Reeves, who's scored 2 points, get his fucking fourth point.
What was the Michael Malone interview where he's like, yeah, you know, we've been planning for all these schemes, we've been playing for all these plays, like we've been practicing defending all these plays that like they haven't even used yet.
Yeah.
So like, man, they're just like so ahead of this team. Like,
And like, you know, I would never use the word arrogant with the Denver Nuggets just because
They're stars and who
yeah, but like there is some insane looking at the second round going on. At the moment.
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan's playing. And my friend Angus, who really loves LeBron, is watching it, and he's like, I really want to see LeBron win. And he's just so frustrated. He's like, this, like, you know, Torian Prince, like Christian Wood's out, but if he doesn't play, he still would never have played a playoff game in his whole career.
Really?
Yeah, he's in street clothes today. Yeah.
I think he's my favorite for
worst win record of like a significant player.
Yeah. Those stats are hard, but fuck, they're fun when you hear them. It's like, he's played 583 games. And you're just looking back and you're like, how did the Lakers get here? And it's like, I guess like LeBron with Cleveland was signing 1+1 deals and then kept declining it, and then obviously re-signing 1+1, kept the pressure on, and then it came down to the very end there where he's like, it's 2019. 2018, and he said, look, you've got that pick that you got for the Kyrie Irving, trade it for Paul George, like when that was the fucking package for Paul George. And they're like, I don't know, you've just been doing this 1+1 stuff this whole time.
Mate, you could have gone Rudy Gobert for that package.
In this economy. And then LeBron's like, okay, cool, well, I'm leaving because you just didn't maximise my timeline. So goes with LA, signs long-term deals, signs multiple long-term deals, signs an extension as soon as he can. You empower Rob Pelinka, who put together a good team, maybe because he inherited KCP and drafted well. Like, he definitely drafted some good players. But then it's like, okay, well, he just traded KCP, Montrezl Harrell, who was good at the time, and Kyle Kuzma for Russell Westbrook. And then he had to spend assets to dig himself out of the hole. It's like, so yeah, of course, when D'Lo scores 0 points today and everyone on Twitter is just like replying to his box score saying China, China, China. It's like, well, LeBron, like you've got the picks. The old faithful is the 29 and 30 first round picks from the Lakers. You've got the old faithful, but you're not putting that same pressure on your franchise to put better players around you. And then when Darvin's sitting on the bench like, hey, maybe Torian Prince can cut. Well, it's like, well, what if the equation was maybe a good player can cut, or maybe a good player can like take the ball off your hands? And like, it might be Trae Young, but it might be too late because then LeBron's going to be 41.
Yeah, 100%. And it's crazy that, I mean, maybe the differentiating factor is that the Russell Westbrook trade was so bad that like you just can't make any good moves after that. Like you've gotten rid of 3 good role players. Like you have to trade to get off of his contract, which is interesting. But yeah, I was excited for this series, not because I thought the Lakers had any chance of like challenging Denver in like a, take them to 7 games, maybe steal the series away, but like, me and Lucas said this on the JVG tribute show. Like, it's LeBron James. Surely he's going to win one of these, right? Like, that's what he did. He didn't last year. He's not going to do it this year. And I had to get this stat up. I saw it after game 2 on Twitter. And it's actually gotten worse after game 3.
The Denver Nuggets, in the first half of these 3 games, their offensive rating has been 102.7. Their defensive rating has been 117.8, which is a net rating of minus 15.1, which is the 4th worst in the playoffs. In the second half, they've got an offensive rating of 128.3, a defensive rating of 95.7, which is a plus
32.5 net rating, which you wouldn't believe it, but it's the best.
It's the best net rating in the playoffs.
That's insane.
Yeah. So like, as much as it is like, the Lakers don't have the personnel, I think just like Denver is so good, and when they have to win a game, they just do it. And Jokic, 100%. But yeah, Jamal Murray, like, Aaron Gordon had 29 points today. That's just like the fact that you got 29 out of Aaron Gordon and you got 0 out of D'Lo is just, it paints the whole picture, I think. Yeah.
And the biggest soft underbelly for the Nuggets is the non-Jokic minutes at the start of the fourth. I mean, look at any team, it's the non-superstar minutes at the start of the fourth. And first 2 games, Jamal Murray was just hitting some absolutely absurd crap. And this game, Michael Porter Jr. was just sidestep mid-ranges over a tall defender and making him. And it's like, it's not surprising he can do that. And then Michael Malone just he says, "Fuck, what am I going to do for the start of the fourth? Hey, player who's got a really good bag, just try and do something. If you make it, I'll actually give you another shot." Oh, you made 2? Maybe we'll run a play for you the third time. Would you look at that? We've just scored on every possession. Jokic is sitting at the stanchion. It might be repeatable. You know how I always ask, is it repeatable and sustainable? It might be.
Yeah. Oh, no. I think this has been MPJ's best season in terms of all right, this looks like he's not just feeding off easy shots, generated by Jokic and Murray. Also, he's obviously not, but he's got empty calorie player about him. You could just imagine him putting up a super efficient 22 points per game for Detroit or something like that. But this season, it's he's hitting big shots when they matter. He's creating his own shot. It's not just all right, these are our 2 best offensive guys, and our 3rd best offensive guy happens to be a really, really, really talented shooter and finisher. He's obviously just going to feed off of that space. It's he's genuinely the 3rd offensive option on this team. I think he's been that all season. It had just a slightly different shot diet that's made him look a bit more impressive.
Just before we go to a Kit Kat, just taking the temperature of the league, the 1 seed. Oklahoma City Thunder currently up 2-0, and you predict them for a sweep. I didn't say, but maybe it's a gentleman's sweep. Denver Nuggets probably the title favourite. They're done, right? They've clearly killed the Los Angeles Lakers. And then on the other side of the bracket, I mean, also we should mention that the Minnesota Timberwolves are also taking care of business. But the Boston Celtics are losing to a team of Caleb Martin, and Bam Adebayo was guarding Jason Tatum, and he was just fuck, I guess that's me. What do you want to do, man?
Caleb Martin was guarding Kristaps Porzingis and making him afraid to put shots up.
It's just absolutely ridiculous.
It's not looking good for Ol Wolford's first NBA championship.
You're listening, Anna?
She's not. She's blocked.
Me and Lucas were talking about this socially, but the Boston fans leaving the TD Garden with 38 seconds to go, and Miami were 8 points up. They weren't going to win that. They weren't going to win that. That's fine. Stan Van Gundy was being you never know what can happen. And it's nah, man, they're not winning this game. Do you think? One, sorry, that sucks so much. 2, have you ever seen New York Knicks fans leave games early? I'm trying to think. I feel like they don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, they entered games where Clay Anthony Early was starting.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, big market. And that sort of disappointed me in the Kings game. Warriors fans were leaving early.
Yeah. Nah, but come on, they've got venture capital firms to run.
The tech bros. That's. No. What are we saying? No, Mark. I haven't seen Knicks fans leave.
No, I've just genuinely never noticed it, and I feel like it would be a very Knicks fan thing to do. But
there's that one angle where it's the fan cam, where it's when Ray Allen hit the shot. It's these were all the fans that left and couldn't get back in. There is that. There's that one angle, and you see it at the footy.
It's. AFL fans are just absolutely criminal for it.
I will say, I don't know the public transport situation in America, but seriously, if you can dodge a sweaty, stinky Jollymont Jollymont train, It's almost worth it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've never left a sport game early, have you?
I probably left an Essendon game early with my dad when I was like 7 or 8.
True.
Because,
You need to go to sleep. It's fucking 8:30.
And we're losing by 60 points, and Buddy Franklin's going to kick another 3. And you did.
Yeah, and your dad's probably thinking, fuck the train. Like, God.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's take a break. See you on me. I'm not talking about Claire.
This episode of The Deep 2 is presented by Gelateria Bico, the official gelato of The Deep 2. Gelateria Bico, handmade gelato in the heart of Brunswick.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show is your fortnightly dose of the lighter side of basketball, hosted by me, Marco.
And me, Lucas. We take a more laid-back approach, talking about the NBA, the WNBA, FIBA basketball, culture, whatever tickles our fancy or grinds our gears.
The show is filled with great guests, classic gags, and a healthy dose of tangents in honour of the great man himself.
The Jeff Van Gundy Tribute Show, fortnightly on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Loves just talking about the league, certain things like that.
Just a little.
Oh, that looks so good on the
The
monitor.
spike, yeah. Now, these mics have a beer monitor, so when you crack the can, it's... thank you again to Jans for supplying us with the...
Is that like a beer app?
No. Nah, I do have a beer app, though. Completely unrelated, we were trying to set up Francesca's brother with someone, Leandro, and then is a friend of a friend, so I was like, talk. Oh, send him a photo. I'm like, oh yeah. You search on your phone, like Marco, it has all the photos of Marco out. I searched Leandro, went to go like look for some photos, and then I'm like, oh yeah, here's the one of us at like a bar. We're both holding a beer, and then I've got the fake beer app drinking it, and I'm like, I wasn't even looking at Leandro. I was like, this is hilarious, and I hope they understand that this is very funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, if Leandro's listening, because I know he listens to the pod before he goes to bed, so he's probably just like laying in bed like, oh.
Leandro mentioned.
Yeah, well, I was trying to figure out what the bowl was for you and Leandro.
Oh,
Because he's an OKC fan. You're a Pallywobble.
I have no idea. The O Bowl? Marco Leandro? No,
Yeah,
that could be an
Alessio or Danto. I was thinking like the above 6-1 bowl,
Yeah, right.
but then there's me and Lucas over 6-1 as well.
Yeah. No, I'm 5'11" actually.
Oh, you're 5'11", fuck. Yeah, what? Hey, listeners, email us at deep2podcast@gmail.com to let us know what these two people who you don't know's bowl would be called, what their traits
I
are.
feel like we must have one other thing in common that no one else does, but I don't know what it is.
Well, he is like a bookkeeper, accountant,
Oh, yeah.
and you're at a bookshop.
True.
The book bowl.
Hey, it's got a good ring to it, doesn't it?
God. And that's how long it took us. Just 2 seconds of dead silence. 2 more series, I reckon.
Yeah.
Mini and Phoenix. How do you want to start it?
God, I'd hate to be a Phoenix Suns fan.
Do we know one?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's. I didn't say this on air, but I almost picked. Like, if someone had asked me on air, I would have picked the Suns to win this.
Yeah. Okay.
What?
Well, so this is a good way to start it, I think. I was at a party on the weekend. Shout out Renee as always. And I don't know why it was almost like it was a rumor going around, but it was like, I've heard that the Suns are actually going to give the Wolves, a bit of a hiding in this series.
It felt like a rumor.
Yeah. I was talking to Dan O'Connor, a friend of the program and Minnesota Timberwolves fan. He's like, I think everyone's kind of underselling us. I was like, yeah, no, 100%. Like, you're a really good team. You got a really good defense. Anthony Edwards can be like, the best player on the floor. And everyone's like, nah, but like, KD and Booker and like Beal's been playing so well as well. And like his defense has been better.
Yeah,
and
like 2 games before the end of the season.
Yeah. And then it's like, Bradley Beal takes 8 shots. You know, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant can't defend anyone on the Minnesota Timberwolves. Rudy Gobert is like probably having one of the better playoff series of his career on both ends of the ball, on both sides of the ball as well. Yeah. So like I'm also in a, you know, obviously you win the first you win your first 2 home games. That's not reinventing the wheel, but I really don't feel good for the Suns for the rest of this series.
Yeah, like KD had that first game, you know, classic Australian curse where it starts at 3 a.m. and then you wake up and you're like, whoa, I've missed everything. But yeah, KD just like flicked the switch, whereas like, okay, this dude obviously knows what he's doing. Yeah. He had 31 points on hyper efficient shots. He was just hyper efficient. And then Booker, who I hate it, but he always steps up to the plate. He always does what's asked of him and more. But he didn't at all. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And like, yeah, they've got great individual defenders, great help defenders on him, but it's never been a problem in the past. No. And like, we haven't heard that he's got a groin injury yet. That's usually a round 2 thing. And then game 2 for KD was bad as well. Yeah. And they say like playoffs don't start until the away team wins a game. But, I can't imagine the Suns winning game 3.
No, and you know, well, Grayson Allen had little to no impact on the first 2 games, and now has gone out with an ankle injury. Is it? So like, you know, their already scant depth is just disappearing. Meanwhile, the Wolves are getting again like. Much like the Knicks, I would say, like they're getting insane performances like all over their roster. Jaden McDaniels had like such a good game too. Offensively, he's taking shots I just have no recollection of him ever taking in the regular season. Like not 3-pointers, but like, you know, like little fadeaways and stuff like that. And that's what I was feeling in, you know, because. In that game, like Phoenix looked a lot more competitive, and I was like, "Fuck!" Like, you know, are the Timberwolves really going to another Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert pick and roll? Like, is that your best? Is that your best option in this? Like, Cat was in foul trouble in the first half, but then they just got contributions from all over the roster, like Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
He might be one of the better perimeter defenders in the league, and he looks just so solid on offense when he only has to do, you know, like...
He's coming off the bench. He's just a great bench defender.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, if you just catch and shoot threes and like the odd, you know, run the odd pick and roll, like, you know, 2 or 3 times a game, that... like just totally maximizes his skill set.
You should trade Brandon Ingram for him.
Mike Conley, like getting so much out of him still. Yeah. You know, don't mind the Monty Morris minutes either.
They're so small.
And then it's like, as soon as Drew Eubanks comes on, it's like, fuck, like, is this really the Phoenix Suns are, you know, having to play?
Yeah. And like he's I can't keep comparing people to Montrezl Harrell. But you know what I mean. Like he's offense only center and regular season, it's like he might be in contention for a fucking award. But then the playoffs come and it's it's quite grim, and like they need Booker to explode as much as KD has also exploded in one game. They need Booker to be Booker, and they need Bradley Beal to be just someone. Yeah, it's so grim.
Yeah, 100%. And like the defensive stuff, like this Suns team is never going to be like a top defense, but like KD has the tools, and we've seen him do it. Not just like, you know, when he was with the Warriors or OKC, but like, you know, in Brooklyn when he suddenly became like the best help shot blocker, you know, in the league for a 20-game stretch. Yeah. And like he is just getting his ass handed to him by Anthony Edwards. They're not even like letting Devin Booker try to guard Anthony Edwards, and I think that is because they're just so unconfident that he'll be able to do it. Yeah. But like, man, like if you want to be superstar players, you have to be able to one, do your primary job, which is score points
in an efficient manner, and two, like actually put some heart into defending the.
It's the playoffs.
Exactly right.
Was it you that was saying that you hate Yusuf Nurkic more, or was that Lucas?
Oh, that was me.
That was you. So what happened there?
Man, he's just such a wiener.
He is. You should turn around and clock him in the head.
Yeah, 100%. He just does arsehole things on every play. I don't like Rudy Gobert. The thing with Rudy, right? Nah, I don't want to say that I don't like Rudy Gobert anymore, because my only problem with him is that there are systems that can exploit him in the playoffs, and it could happen this playoffs. It could. I'm not saying it's going to, because he's been incredible in these first two games, and he's been incredible all year as well. But it can happen. And then he's got a little bit of the dickhead French thing, but he's not kicking guys in the nuts or anything like that. Yusuf Nurkic just is an asshole on every single possession, and in a just terrible, cocky, I want to hurt you sort of way. Not in not in an admirable way. Not in I would love to have him on my team, because he would, he would raise the level of dog on the roster. God, I'm just what's he good at anymore?
Well, and he doesn't look at the rim. He's got a little bit of Sean-itis in that aspect. At least Rudy Gobert, you throw him a low ball, you get him while he's rolling. Yeah, he's averaged close to 20 points a game. Well, he hasn't, but he's he at least puts the ball in the basket. But Nurkic, it's are you getting 8 points a night from him? Whereas Gobert, it's 16.
Yeah,
and it's they're both quite bad numbers. I'm not saying that they're winning a scoring title or anything, but it's Nurkic is doing some Ben Simmonsy things where he gets the ball, doesn't look at the rim, passes it off.
And the irony of that is he loves to do that thing where, when he's on a player who he doesn't believe is a good shooter, he'll turn his back to him and be
sort of theatrical.
I'm going up for the rebound because Kyle Anderson is taking a corner three.
Yeah.
It's come back to bite him twice in recent weeks. When the Pelicans played him, when the Pelicans played the Suns in one of those last few games, JV caught it, on the wing at the 3-point line, and he goes, whatever, puts his hands up, and then JV does the Draymond Green, Gary Payton thing where he's all right, well, dribble handoff to a 3-point shooter then, and then gets an open look for CJ McCollum. Same thing happened, probably with Mike Conley and Rudy Gobert in this series, and it's well, not only is that the most arse-holish thing you can do, it is funny when
it works.
When a complete bricklayer puts a shot up and it doesn't go in, and he's already going for the rebound. But fuck, man, you're losing your team the game because you have this stupid bit that you're intent on carrying it.
Yeah, and he loves it. He does it to Draymond as well.
Yeah.
And Draymond shot 40% this year. He's bad, and I completely agree. And would they be better with DeAndre Ayton there?
Nah, man, you had to get him out of there. You had to. DeAndre Ayton hates playing basketball. At least Nurkic is at least Nurkic is interested in the idea of being on a basketball court.
At least there'll be a statue of him in Bosnia and or Herzegovina. Or maybe DeAndre Ayton will get a Dominican Republic one.
No, that's cat.
Yeah. It's the blue. It's cyan, blue, yellow, and black.
Bahamas. Yeah.
Because him, Eric Gordon, and Buddy Hield were trying to get them into the Olympics, but they failed. They lost at the end.
Yeah. Him slipping on the ice in his driveway in Portland. Immortalized forever in the. Assume it's called Kingstown or something like that.
Los Angeles Clippers, Dallas. Taylor 2 games. The cat just did a very physical rearrange. It really throws its weight around.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh, let's go back.
Isn't he sweet?
Yeah, he's so sweet.
He's been very sweet the last few weeks as well.
That's good.
His little glam collar. Anyway, the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, Dallas Mavericks. Taylor 2 games. it's you've got the tale of two games, obviously. So Luka just completely dictated things in game 2 and completely didn't in game 1. Also, just a side note, when Luka throws a lob that gets intercepted and he yells at the big man, that's annoying. Don't do that, because the big man didn't actually touch it with his hands. You were the last person that
But
like
his position was wrong. You should have been somewhere else.
Don't throw it to the poor position. It's like the cheese touch and Dara Wimpy
You
kid.
throw it up you throw it up anywhere and don't get it intercepted. Daniel Gafford is going to catch it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
But-
the operating theory anyway.
So there's that going on, and then there's also Kawhi Leonard missing game 1, coming back for game 2, hobbling while playing in game 2, and is now questionable for game 3. And James Harden playing very well, which we have to appreciate, because he's not very good at that in the playoffs. What's going to happen in game 3?
I have no idea. The Kawhi thing was weird because I mean they just looked really comfortable without him in game 1 as well. Not really even in terms of slowing down or stopping Luka and Kyrie, but just in terms of like getting production from everyone else and everyone everyone being connected and being in the right spots and everything like that. So to bring him back, and like he was just awful on offense, it really slowed the game down for them as well.
But yeah, I don't know. Like I was very surprised after game 1, because I was like, not surprised, but I was like,
the Mavs are the Clippers bogey team. Like, obviously, Luka's going to come away with the win in this series. And, like,
Clippers just didn't get out of third gear in that game. Like, they very, very comfortably cruised to a win. Now we're seeing more of, like, the tale we know of this series, So, like, I do think that Luka and Kyrie are just like way too much of a handful for this team, and like if Kawhi's not fit, if Kawhi's fit and healthy, like it's a good contest, but like I don't think they can kind of pull off that. I don't think they can pull off what they did in game 1 in game 3 or beyond that.
Yeah, and the Mavs have done this in the past. They're very up and down, like we saw against that Phoenix series. Before they won in game 7 by 50 million points, they like lost. They got blown out in game 6 or blown out in game 5. Like it's just some nights they have it, some nights they don't. I don't know whether that's a Luka thing and it's carrying over to the rest of the team, or whether that's a Jason Kidd thing carrying over to the rest of the team. But they're just very up and down, and you can pretty much tell if they're going to win a game in the first quarter. Yeah. Which is, it's I don't know what to make of it. Is it because they're that great they can just clean a game up, or is it what's going on?
It's really well. Do you want to know something funny that I don't know if this will help answer your question or not? But Luka, in both games, he shot 11 of 26.
Yeah, right. That doesn't answer anything.
Exactly the same shooting splits.
Definitely doesn't fit my preconceived bias.
Nah, but I do think that like as good as PJ Washington has been, as good as Daniel Gafford has been, and he's been fucking terrible in both of these games. Like what Maxi Kleber's been like their best center, which when I feel like we've had this conversation where it's like, oh, well, if Gafford and Lively aren't working, is it going to have to be Kleber? And it's like, yes. But like I do think they're still just so thin. Like they just, and it's not about Luka's production, because he's going to like put up the same amount basically night in, night out. But it's like, is he going to make everyone better? And are there enough good players on the court for him to make better? Kyrie also, like, I think he's probably he's liable to win them a game.
Yeah. It's I don't know what to make of it. Like the final prediction, and I'll ask you. I sort of have to go with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah. I'd say Mavs in 7.
It's going to be 7, and they're probably going to get blown out in 6, and then just do it in 7.
Yeah. But like 2 incredibly, both like very inconsistent teams, I would say. Like like you don't know. You don't really you're not never really sure if Kawhi or Paul George or James Harden are going to play, let alone how they're going to play.
Yeah, especially in the playoffs.
Do you think James Harden has been their best player in this series, though?
Sure, he's hitting his step backs, which is interesting because he's been more pass first in the past 2 years. I guess he has, but who knows?
There was this is another annoying Instagram stat, but did you see that thing about the Clippers' big three, let's call them, going like, it was like 1 of 8 on possessions guarded by Luka or something like that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's
what does that mean?
Yeah, I know. I think it's like directly in response to, there was this sample size where like for the month of February, his primary like defendee was shooting like 80% or something.
Now, it might be, I'm just spitballing here because personally I haven't seen the Luka Doncic lockdown defender jump, but it might be that Jason Kidd is really good at hiding him on defense.
Yeah, I mean every star gets hidden. But Kyrie's not a good defender as well.
Yeah.
Tim Hardaway Jr. is definitely not. Yeah. Dante Exum, good minutes.
Yeah.
God, my scabs bloody.
Yeah, God. Oh, mate. Hey, what happened? You get elbowed in the face or something? Oh, we didn't even talk about it.
Nah, that's right, mate. Just someone's got to take charges. I sent, so like I obviously hurt my face, which the Patreon viewers can see. Yeah. Mum's like, what happened? And I was like, the guy was like coming towards me. He took like a Euro step around. And I was like, she's not going to get that. So I sent her the clip of Goran Dragic getting his teeth knocked out by DeMar DeRozan in 2016. Yeah. Because that's
you haven't used to refer to it.
Which I have, because that's exactly what happened. Yeah. But thank fuck I was wearing my mouth guard. I wasn't going to put my mouth guard in because it's a bit of a softer, smaller team. And I was like, oh fuck, like I'll be fine. And it wasn't like a dirty play or anything. It was just such an accident.
It's pretty brutal. Like the same thing happened to a former housemate of the program, man.
It's just the elbow. It's sharp. Like they go up with any sort of intent, and it's just splitting your face.
They got to nerf it, man. Seriously, because seriously, it's
look at that. They're going to make it a little bit more rounded or something.
I reckon I don't watch or know anything about UFC, but there's got to be some sort of hidden value in the elbow. I see a lot of people kicking and punching, but what's...
Nah, they do that. They elbow each other in the face for sure.
Really?
And to great effect. Yeah.
God, it's just nasty what they do to each other in that thing, in the Pentagon. Is there anything you want to finish up with? Like, we can talk about the other ones. We got Indiana, then Miami, then Redacted.
Well, let's. Why don't we just mention the first two?
Well, actually, Orlando, Cleveland, which was Redacted. When I went to halftime at Philly today, I was like, "Oh, go on, I'll put on the shit one." 100-64 Orlando's way.
Well, fine. Let's talk about it for 2 minutes.
Well, I'm going to look at our listenership on Spotify podcasters, and it's going to drop at this mark.
Yeah, well, probably because we're an hour in.
Go on.
Well, no, because I did actually watch some of Game 1 and 2 of this series, and I was like, Cleveland have this in the bag. They've been here before. Donovan Mitchell has like more playoff experience in his pinky finger than the entire Magic roster has. Jared Allen looks good. They don't have any, the Magic don't, despite having like 5 centers on their roster, none of them can defend Jared Allen or Evan Mobley. I was like, all right, well, bloody series wash then. What's going on? Honestly, what's going on here?
I mean, it still could be a gentleman's sweep. But it is. This was not. I didn't expect this.
This wasn't on the card.
Especially not a blowout. But maybe it's like Paolo's first playoffs, and it's like, okay, is he adjusting? But usually you see the adjustment in game 2. It's weird that the adjustment came in game 3, but maybe the adjustments just come.
Yeah, he's just used to it. He's blown the nerves out earlier than we thought. He's Jabari Smith Jr. East. That's brutal, mate.
That's true. No,
mate, come on.
Just came out.
Come on. Italian Jabari Smith Jr. American Jabari Smith Jr.
Maybe just a quick wrap up. Indiana is currently tied 1-1, so is Miami and Boston. Just give us like a prediction for the series.
I think Indiana are going to win.
Wow, really?
If Giannis doesn't come back, do we know the timeline on him?
Nah, well, Doc Rivers said today, he had the stupidest quote. He goes, yeah, it looks good. But he said, but what does that mean? Like, what does look good mean?
I hate him so much. The Bucks aren't getting any offense outside of Dame and Lopez. And, man, the Pacers have just finally... like defending just a little bit, just enough to kind of they've just got like the right scheme to beat the Bucks by just letting those two guys score. And, like Pascal Siakam just looks like another animal. Like again, it's so obvious that he has played in like 5 or 6 postseasons, and that no one else on the Pacers has played in any, including Buddy Hield's on the 76ers now, isn't he? It was his playoff debut. Congrats, buddy.
TJ McConnell's like the second biggest vet here.
What the hell, man? But also, like, he's averaging like 16 points or something. Like, God, legend. What's your prediction?
Oh, it's Bucks in 6.
Bucks in 6.
Yeah, it's just because even if Johnny doesn't come back, I still just can't see Dame Lopez and Chris Middleton, who's now out and might miss the series.
Yeah. He's looking pretty good as well. Yeah.
I mean, like just those 3 dudes should have enough veteran know-how.
But they're starting Pat Bev to combat Tyrese Halliburton, and it's like Tyrese Halliburton isn't even that good.
I just can't. Maybe this is the downfall, and that's how Giannis gets to the Warriors. Indiana are 5, and then Miami, Boston.
I have to go with Boston. Let's say 7.
Yeah,
let's say 7, because there are issues that Miami caused them in Game 2 that it's like, I don't know how you fix that apart from just, I mean, I hate to say it, but getting more mindset. I don't Tatum and Porzingis just need to put their big boy shorts on.
At least Tatum has in the past.
It's that thing where it's like, oh, Miami, they shot like unsustainably well. It's like, yeah, but if they just do that in every second game, then they win 3 games.
They have consistently shot unsustainably well, which just
for the last 4 years
is an oxymoron. I'm going to say Boston 6, leading 5.
It would be ridiculous.
not to.
It'll be ridiculous.
I think Miami will win one more.
I hope so.
And then rattle Boston enough for, I don't know. Who will they have in the next round? Oh fuck, Orlando or Cleveland?
Oh.
They'll get their groove back in that series, and then
fucking a lot of Nikola Jovic. He's still not good.
Nah,
he still has no identity.
At the end of the second half, it was like, all right, we've drawn up a play. This is the final play of the quarter. It's a Nikola Jovic post up on who was it on? I think it was on Jaylen Brown, and it was like, are you serious? Yeah. And Derek White just walked over and stole the ball from him. It's like, what did you think was going to happen? They won that game, by the way.
Yeah. What does he do there? Marco, thanks for coming on the pod. Nice and short notice. Speak to you next time.
No worries. Plenty of great playoff basketball, and
you work for him now.
Happy birthday.
You want to talk WNBA? Maybe some WNBL? Australian Opals chat? Heck, even dabble in some EuroLeague? Find the W Basketball Show on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.